But before I do that, I just want to give you guys a great example of why you don't hard mount anything when you're in the draft stage of your build. So this is my fuel filter here, right? This is exactly where I wanted it to go visually. I thought that made the most sense. But how am I going to have this mounted here when the radiator return is going to be right here? It's gonna hit it, right? So I put it on this double-sided tape, and that's gonna have to move now. So it's a good example of just not permanently mounting anything until you know 100% where each individual component's going to go. Now that I know that the feed is not going to fit exactly where I want it and I had to move the return, I'm going to go ahead and just mount the return. That way I know exactly what's going to work the best for the feed. So I'm just going to go ahead and drill a small pilot hole through the firewall before I get the step drill out. Before I drill through the firewall, what I'm going to do, because I really don't want to mess up, is take this fitting, this Phoenix Industries. This is a Dash 16 bulkhead. Pretty dope. It's a military grade part here, mil-spec A-8625. These are really, really nice. They're also very expensive, but worth it when you're doing stuff like this. What I'm going to do is take my step drill right here, right, and then you're going to see how big it is compared to the actual fitting, right? And then once you get the inside or the outside diameter, you just take your little marker and you mark how big you want to go in order to get the job done, right? In this case, it's probably going to go to right about here. Okay, and then once you get there, stop right before. That way you don't mess up and go too far, and that way this isn't wrong. You could also just use some calipers and measure, but I'm pretty confident in this, so this is the way I'm going to do it. Got the hole drilled, and now I'm just going to go ahead and install this little guy. I'm going to put the long end on the inside so that the short end sticks out. See how the firewall slants down a little bit? Gives it a little bit of a kick, which is, it's okay. You know, there's still enough room, but again, it's one of those things you don't think about when you're, you know, setting everything up. So we have a decent idea now of what it's going to look like. Go back here. All right, I can work with that. So now that it's in place, I can actually visualize to see where I want the other fitting to go, because I'm going to have to tighten the other fitting and I'm going to have to tighten this one. And in a pinch, I want to be able to get to either or. So I'm going to probably put the other one up to the right a little bit, or maybe even back this way so I can get a full wrench in on this side. And then also the wrench can get on this as well. So I'm going to go get a wrench and see how much room I have to work with and make a decision on where to put the radiator feed. I am thinking about exactly where I want the feed to the radiator to go. So I am thinking right here, right? So this is the return coming from the radiator. I want to have a wrench that is easy to get to. You know, I want to be able to tighten it if I want to check things. I want to make sure that I can get to this fitting if something were to happen. Hopefully nothing does happen, but that's always the possibility. So if I have a fitting right on top of it, then I'm going to have to go under and put the wrench on, and it's going to be kind of hard to get in there, right? If I put the fitting up to the left diagonally, then both fittings are easy to get to. I can get a wrench in from the top and get nice long sweeps to tighten it. Yeah, let's get the wrench and see exactly where to go. Went ahead and used some double-sided tape just to mock this side up, and that's what I'm talking about. That is sick to me. Yeah, maybe it's not perfectly symmetrical, but it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be usable, right? So now I can tighten this one. If this one needs some work, you know, I can go ahead and tighten this one, tighten this one. You know, it's not hard to get to. So if the other fitting was on top, how would I get to this one to tighten it? I'd have to go drop this down there like that and then try to feed it through. Like, it's just going to be a pain in the ass. But now that it's offset, you can get to either or. And I could also, that gives me a good idea, can move this over even further and have room for my fuel filter again. This. Go right here. A little crowded, but I can move this over a little more and we'd be in good shape. Let's see what it would look like. Just gonna move it over. Okay. And I have this guy right here. That might work. Put some blue tape on this fitting here to keep it from moving around when I mock it up, and then I got some 3M double-sided tape right here on the back so I can stick to the firewall and kind of play with the orientation of where I want it to be exactly. Dash 6, this is going to be a return, but I'm going to kind of put them in the same orientation as the water lines because I think it looks pretty cool, and also I can get to it as well. So, serviceability, right? Got to make sure everything's serviceable. There we have it. That's what my idea was. I don't know if I like it, to tell you the truth. It's okay. I'm trying to figure out where I could put this guy. I don't like this one being here because on the inside it's going to create the same issue with the wrench. How am I going to get to it on the inside? Because all these are going to be flowing on the bottom. It's going to be not enough. Well, there'll be enough to get the wrench on there, but not as easy as I would like it to be. So I'm going to have to reconsider this, think about it for a couple seconds. Alright, so I think that this is going to work. I just need a Phoenix Industries 8. This one should go here. These are awesome, by the way. If you can see, it's radius port, which means that there's no step in it. Nice and smooth. Sorry. Let's see if I can get a better shot of it. Yeah, you see that? That's nice and smooth. Transition. ORB fitting. It's going to go on my injector dynamics. Fuel filter here. Dash 8 straight. Go on the end here. And now we can go mock it up. Smooth. Let's see. It's a little bit hard to visualize how the routing is going to go in the car. So, dang, look at that lightning. Anyways, it's a little hard to visualize how the lines are going to route to the firewall, the bulkhead there. So I'm going to draw this slightly mocked up, just a rough little things template so I can kind of visualize. I'm really visual, if you guys haven't noticed by at this point. Everything I do is visual. I have to see it in order to see it to come to life. So this is part of that process. Wow, I have been sitting here staring at this, making sure that everything's going to fit and function and flow the right way for probably about 2.5 hours. I couldn't really film during that because I was really just trying to keep my mind clear. But this is what I came up with so far. So we have the return from the radiator. We have the feed to the radiator. Notice it's higher than the return. This goes to the pump. This is going to go back to the engine. Both go back to the engine, but this comes or feeds the pump, and this comes hot water out of the engine, right, and feeds the radiator. This is going to be the fuel feed, right, dash 8 to the engine. This is going to be my fuel filter. This is a feed, dash 8 as well. It's going to swoop down, come back this way, and meet the radium junction right here. The fuel manifold. It's going to split into 2 dash 6s right here. Come down and pump 1 and pump 2. 1, 2. Pump 3 we're not using. This is power, lightning bolt, and this is going to be the return. I'm going to have to pick it up because they won't fit correctly on there if they're all 90s, and it'll look kind of messy with 45. So I'm going to pick it up with a 45, and then this will be floating up this way like this.